So, about a year ago, I was in university and I ended up getting this nifty little degree in cartoon and comic art. And the reason why this is relevant is because I got to work very briefly with some industry professionals. One of these was a writer by the name of Kevin Gunstone. He has worked all across the industry and taught me, and my class, how to write an industry standard comic script. Now, I've spent over £27,000 on this degree, and I wanted to give you guys the knowledge that I've gained for free. All I need you to do is like the video and, I don't know, maybe subscribe and comment. It depends how you feel, so no pressure at all. However, this video is probably going to be boring if you're not super into learning how to write comic scripts, as it's probably going to be a lot of me talking and then showing you what I'm talking about, so bear with me, okay? When I'm writing my comics, I make sure that I have a dialogue script first. I'll have my entire arc scripted in just dialogue and key moments or emotions. It's a very theatre style script. It's just so I know that the dialogue feels natural and flows correctly. Once I have that, I get my handy sketchbook, another Word document open, and I start scripting. Now, when it comes to industry standard professional scripting, it usually follows the same format. Page number, panel number, actions and descriptions of the panel, and then finally dialogue. To make it easier to read when people are skimming it, it's usually recommended to use the tab button or changing the fonts of each separate section. I personally like doing both of these. I find reading large body of text very difficult, which is really ironic because I'm reading a script. But by doing this, I can easily pick out where dialogue is and where descriptions are. But let's actually get into making one together. The script I'm making for this video is chapter 24 of my webcomic Keys of Corruption. It currently has only one chapter published right now, but that's because I'm doing a whole bunch of scripting and art behind the scenes, so I can start uploading regularly during the summertime. Anyway, let me show you how I set myself up to start scripting. A thing I should note before I get started is that I both script and do art for my own comics. Some of these things that I'm about to say may not apply to you if you're looking to just do scripting in the industry. First things first, I like to have my sketchbook in front of me. This is an A5 sketchbook and I divide each page into 4 sections. This way I can visually see how each page would look from very far away. Panel layout on a page is super important too. It's like a whole skill in itself. Immediately, I will start by looking at my dialogue script and start drawing out my pages. When thumbnailing pages, I always want to make sure that each page is super readable, and this starts with how many panels I have on each page and how they flow. My rough average is anywhere between 3 panels to about 8 on a page if some of them are super small, but if we're talking about mean average, I'd say that it's probably around 5 panels per page. By drawing a few panels first, I find that I'm able to easily feel the vibe of the page, which is especially helpful when I'm trying to script fight scenes. I then draw stick figures inside my panels, mostly for blocking purposes, and if I think an emotion or an eye placement is super important, I will highlight that too. In my sketches, speech bubble placement is thought of, but not thought of first. When I'm transferring my sketches to digital, this is when I tweak my sketches to fit the bubbles. I find it's easier to do it this way, the same way I feel like it's easier for me to do a dialogue script first. Flow and natural ease for reading is super important to comics since you're always bombarding people with information. Okay, so now that I've got my pages done, I'm going to start writing them up. You can always do this the other way around if you want to, or at the same time. I've just found that drawing it first means I'm not overcrowding my pages, which I have done a few times. How long each script takes depends on how much description you would like on each panel. Some writers will write paragraphs on how they want the panel to look, and some will just write a few sentences. Mine varies on how important I think the panel will be. If it's just talking heads, I'll describe where they are in the panel, but if it's serious, like showing an emotion or a difficult perspective shot, I make sure I describe as much as I can. Also, sometimes I just get lazy and don't want to write as much as I probably should have. This is okay for me at the moment, as it's just me working on the scripts, but if I were to send this off to an inker, then I might have to take more time to script to get the vibe right so that they understand what I'm trying to say. As I've been talking, in the background, you would have seen me writing out descriptions. But let's break down a little more what I'm doing. I always make sure I'm giving descriptions on where things are placed inside the panel. Let's say character A is cut off on the right side of the panel. Well, that would give you more information than character A is on the right side of the panel. By saying that they're cut off, it can illustrate exactly how the perspective works and specifically what you're trying to go for. I also like to write down any actions or any points of contact between characters. Things like resting on someone's shoulder or a hand on a hip. Simple things that may be missed at first while reading, but still give loads of characterization. The final thing I like to focus on is actual blocking. If you're not familiar with the theatre terms, blocking is the precise arrangement of actors that facilitate the performance of a play, ballet, film, or opera. Just because we're not scripting for any of these doesn't make blocking any less important. This helps you as a writer remember where characters are placed, and keeps the audience aware of where characters are. This makes readability so much easier since people aren't sat wondering, well, wasn't this character by the other one? Like I said earlier, my descriptions will always be on how important I think a panel is. However, I also like to operate under the assumption that someone else will be reading this. I know they won't, but it helps me get into good habits when scripting, and in the far off future, if I ever do bring on a second inker, then I won't have to change my whole style of writing scripts. And this has been a quick whistle-stop guide on how to write an industry standard comic script. I really do hope this has been helpful for a few people, and I apologise if it was boring. Unfortunately, writing scripts is only interesting if you're into it, and for those who are into it, I hope this was good. My only advice for you guys now is go off and practice. Scripting is a skill that you need to learn and perfect. I've been scripting in this format for a year now, and I've only just started getting competent at it at chapter 24. So you just need to practice and make sure that you're practicing constantly. It's like any other skill, really. If you're wanting to see any other videos about my scripting, plotting stories, or anything like that, please let me know in the comments, and I'll see if that's something I'm able to do. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.